Hey everyone, welcome to Friday. Who's making this on a Sunday? I'm sorry that I've been making videos very late. I'm working lots of hours at the moment, and I know it sounds awful. I'm committed to making these videos, but it's not my first priority, obviously. So I tend to be a little bit late. I'm sorry. So we're talking about loneliness, and I am a pro. I'm a total pro when it comes to being lonely. And it's funny because I'm one of those people that gets very lonely, but I can also be very antisocial. I like to exclude myself, or maybe the like is the wrong word. I tend to exclude myself from things, and I think it has a lot to do with feeling socially awkward, so I'd rather just not go to things. But then I feel really lonely. You know what I mean? And I've been like that for years, absolutely, for so long, you know. I'd have friends who would invite me out and I would just tell them no. And then I'd be at home going, oh, man, I would just feel pathetic and sad because I'd be at home alone, being lonely. And as you all know, recently I've started working. I've started working full time, I should say. Before this, I was only working part time, so I had a lot of time to myself. And I found that now that I'm working a lot more, I'm so much less lonely because I don't have that time to wallow and to think about how alone I am. You know what I mean? And of course, this is not me trying to give you some quick fix to some deep, to what can be a very kind of, I guess, deep seated issue emotionally and psychologically for a lot of people. But this is what has worked for me. And that's all I can talk about. You know what I mean? What has worked for me. Danielle did a great job of talking about it in a broad, in a broad way. But I want to talk about it specifically to me and how I deal with it, you know. I understand what loneliness feels like. I know what it's like to just sit at home and think about how hopeless and how unloved you feel because you're just not around people that care about you. And for me, it was my fault because I didn't want to go out with people who wanted to hang out with me. But now that I'm working, I don't have the luxury. It's not really luxury, but I don't have the luxury to be thinking and wallowing about myself. And because I'm at work for so long, when I get home, I'm so happy to be alone. You know, I work in the retail sector, especially it's fashion retail. So I'm surrounded by people all the time. So when I get home, I'm so happy to not have to say anything to anyone, to not have to talk, to just put up my feet and just not think. And I really do not think. And it's so refreshing to not have all these thoughts of being lonely and being excluded, self excluded. It's my fault. I did it to myself. Yeah, you know? So I think my tip is to get busy, doing stuff. Whether it is finding work or whether it is finding a hobby or whether it is something as simple as just getting up and getting out, going out and just doing something. I have actually started going to watch movies all by myself and I love it. Absolutely love it. I've done that a couple of times. I actually go every Sunday, I go out for lunch all by myself. I love being by myself now. It's really great. It's really awesome. And I guess that's really it. That's all I have to say, you know. I hope no one thinks of this as me trying to fix something, like I said, that can be a really serious issue for a lot of people that can cause these really horrible feelings of depression and anxiety. And, you know, I know that for a lot of people it's not a quick fix, but for me it was. Yeah, I think the something else I wanted to mention is I think that it's a lot to do with liking yourself or liking your own company. Like Danielle said, there's a difference between being lonely and someone who's a loner. I think more people should be loners. Do you know what I mean? Should like their own company, should learn about themselves, and yeah. and maybe that's something that we should do. A lot of self-reflection and a lot of trying to understand that you can still be lonely when you're with friends or when you're in a crowded room. You know, we all know this. And I think that we all have to kind of love ourselves and love being alone with ourselves, you know, before we can ever really enjoy being around other people. And does that make sense? If you have any other tips on how to cure loneliness, I'd love to hear it. I shall see you guys next week. Oh, next month's going to be an awesome month. It's going to be really exciting and we can't wait to talk to you. We're going to be doing a month. Basically, we're going to have one theme for the whole month and I hope it's going to be awesome. I'm sure it is. And I will see you next week with all the really cool stuff that we're going to be doing.